Alrighty, welcome to a special edition of the Safety Pro podcast. I am Lori Frederick, the Movement Ninja, and this is my takeover episode. I am filling in for Blaine. Thank you, Blaine, for letting me jump in here. And today we're going to talk about how crappy lifts happen, the reality of some work situations. So I'm going to share a little bit of my experience, my knowledge, and maybe a few things that you can do and messages that you can relay forward if you happen to be in the industries where crappy lifts happen, or if you yourself are doing random things at home where you know it happens too. So hopefully you stick around and find out a lot of knowledge and helpful tips. All right, so this topic really came about because the reality of my life right now is that we are packing up and moving from Colorado to Florida. This is a huge move. We work for ourselves, and so when you work for yourself, you have to move yourself. We don't have a moving company that gets paid to come in and do all our moves, packing and all that sort of stuff. I don't think I've ever had a company move. I've never worked for a company that does that, but I have had a moving company do it all in one day before and then it was Colorado to California. And to me, it was way too hectic. I mean, I had a bit pre-packed from all our belongings and stuff, but the chaos of the movers coming in and then just randomly throwing things in boxes and labeling whichever room they grab them out of drove me crazy. It's when I really realized that I'm a bit of a control freak on where my stuff goes and in which boxes. So we have done moves quite a few times in pods, storage containers. So with pods, you pack it yourself and then they take it and move on. It's not cheap. Any move across country is not cheap. All right. So full disclosure, each pod, the big ones, the 16 foot by 8 by 8, is $6,000. For us, that includes the transportation, the storage on the other end, all the things. So we originally reserved 2 pods because I'm like, well, 2. I'm like, okay. And like tax and whatever is going to be like 14 grand. Hi, that's a lot of money. So it turns out we're down to 1. I got to fit everything into 1 pod. I'm selling off a bunch of furniture because frankly, I would rather spend the money on new furniture than pay to move old furniture that I'm not totally attached to. So this 1 pod is fitting all the stuff we really care about, right? There's a few pieces of bigger furniture that, a sofa that was in my husband's family for a while that we spent some money to recover. So that one's staying. Things that I probably couldn't find again. So Craigslist is fabulous for that, and Facebook Marketplace and Nextdoor, all the places. Here's where we get into the situation. This is adult game of Tetris for me, and I have a good puzzle brain. I love figuring out puzzles, especially Tetris. Like air pockets are my enemy, and I can fill any little pocket, even in my suitcase, right? So here goes boxing and moving into this storage pod. And when everything is not a square box, you end up doing interesting lifting techniques. So I'm the packer and the planner. My husband's fabulous for the muscle, getting into it, and all the logistics of the other part of insurance and moving and blah stuff that I'm not good at all. But so he's my muscle that helps bring it close, and then I fidget it around. So the dilemma that I've caught myself in is the same that probably workers catch them in all the time. You're trying to be productive. I don't want to move things like 3, 4, 5 times, but here's where I go. I need to fit it just right. So I am moving a box around 3, 4, 5 times. Thankfully, all the big stuff, I'm not moving that often, that many times, all right? So in my head, I have a plan for that. But so here's an example of what happened. put in patio furniture, which was a couch and big chairs and cushions and whatever, and I put it up against the wall. And in the pods, they have these studs along the wall, which then creates this 4-inch space. If I put a flat couch against that, that's a perfect place for storing a large picture or wall hanging. I totally forgot to wrap that wall hanging and put it in. So when the couch is all settled in the corner and I don't want to move 13 things again, I'm lifting this really wide, large, oversized framed picture over my head, awkwardly out in front of me, and trying to slide it in behind. All right, so first crappy lift of knowledge going in there. Here's the deal. In work areas where there's high hazard, where you cannot have perfect ergonomics, crappy lifts happen. I know the goal is to have the NIOSH lifting equation. Work in your power zone, right? Your knees to your shoulders, lift everything from there. That's not happening in my world. And I know that doesn't happen in a lot of industries, because if you're inside of a boiler and trying to replace and repair, you're on your back, you're holding things in strange locations, you're reaching out more than you would. You name it. I would love for you all to share extra examples with me. I love them all the time of where it's not possible to use your power zone and the NIOSH lifting equation. Because for me and my clients, we run into this a lot. So in my personal example, in these moving situations where I'm lifting boxes, they're 18-inch cube boxes, it's in my power zone, right? So it's kind of, I'm holding it there. But then, of course, I got to lift it up on something. So then my shoulders shrug and I'm doing all the not nice things to my neck and shoulders. Here's what I do. I make sure that I prep my body, a little warm up, a little pre-mobility. I want to make sure that I know all my moving parts are moving appropriately, right? What's feeling good, indifferent, whatever. I'm a week into, at least, of lifting awkwardly sometimes. And my body's kind of like, you don't do this very often. So I've got some sore parts when I do my warm-ups and I do my morning mobility routine. So I need to pay attention to that as it moves forward. It's the same thing I tell all the workers for all my clients that we work with. Prepare your body in a way that you want to warm up those muscles so they are more bendy and stretchy and more functional as you go through your workday, whether that includes awkward lifting or not. And then be more aware while you're doing it. I understand and I know when I am outside of my power zone, I know as I'm doing it, this is not the most brilliant thing. So I have, there's two things that I really want everybody to learn and pay attention to in their own body awareness. A lot of people are like, well, flex your core for your low back health. Yes, but there's a little bit more to that. Just like bearing down, like someone's going to punch you in the gut, and really flexing your abs to protect your back is better than nothing. But part of good breathing exercises, learning to breathe with your diaphragm, inhaling with your diaphragm. You learn to brace three-dimensionally around your back. A lot of times just clenching your abs is not good procedure because it's almost over protecting the back. So we could probably make a whole longer episode in how to correctly brace and breathe while you're lifting, either correctly or crappy. But kind of this full breath bracing as you're placing. The other thing for your arms and shoulders is something that I call packing your shoulders. Packing your shoulder blades and your shoulders mean that you are kind of bringing yourself into good posture, but you're pulling your shoulder blades down your back and not letting your shoulders up into your ears. Okay. So for those of you who have the premium membership and the video right now, it's keeping your shoulders out of your ears, compressing and flexing your shoulders down and a little bit back, okay? This is something when you're deadlifting, when you're squatting, when you're lifting overhead, it's a really great habit to get into. Scapular retraction is technically what it is. You can do a Google search for scapular retraction and get great visuals of how to do that. So those are my go-tos, the shoulder packing and the bracing when I know that I'm not in the best of positions. And this is what we teach in all our classes as well. So, because those two are really important when you are, pulling a manhole cover, or if you're in a boiler working on something, or if you are reaching over a railing to repair. Welding, fabrication gets in the craziest positions, right? So if you know that you're not in the best position, then packing your shoulders, good breathing and bracing techniques are essential. So we have preparing, being more aware while you're doing it, and then recovery. Recovery is super important because you want to use it as an opposite of what you've just done. And so I've thrown up a couple of videos recently because it's the corrections that I'm doing. It's the most common corrections that I'm giving all the workers, that we really preach that if you are bent over doing a lot of things, what's opposite of that? Well, it's opening up your chest, it's opening up your hips. Something I call the reverse bridge, where you are sitting on like a coffee table, put your hands right at your hips, try to lift your hips off, and then push your hips forward. So your feet are still on the ground. It's a reverse hip bridge, essentially. But that one is my go-to a lot of times because it activates the glutes. It opens up the front of your hips. It stretches out your shoulders, all the things, right? So there's a couple of moves. The reverse bridge is one. The wall stretch, which I tell everybody that you need to do that 10 seconds every hour and you will feel way better. Has to do with opening up the whole front of the arm line, the fascial lines in the front of your arm. Those two are big ones. And thoracic twisting is one of the other ones that for prep and recovery. So some of you might all of a sudden be like, you want me to twist my spine? Yes, I do. But not, I don't want you to bend and twist with crappy posture and a heavy load over and over again. Okay. But like these big boxes for me, put me in such a position that I'm a little bit hunched over. Okay. Especially when I'm placing. So I don't have the best spinal posture as I'm doing that. And I know it. A spinal twist and rotation is something to where your spine is meant to bend and twist. It's actually built that way. It's a really strong structure when you do it right. Just don't mistreat it. So I find oftentimes when we go with in ergonomics land, a lot of times they're like, don't bend and twist. Don't ever twist. And it's almost over protecting the lower back to tell people to never twist because it's such a function. Like, have you ever dropped something like under your bed and you're kneeling down and you're looking underneath your bed and you're trying to reach and grab something under there? I bet you're bending and twisting. Okay. So it's actually good for something, throwing bales of hay. There's a lot of real life examples to where you're actually twisting and lifting, but doing it in a proper way is essential part of it all. So I really want people to understand that, in my opinion, and I know it's not a very common opinion, I want your spine to learn how to twist in a healthy way. So there's a thoracic twist, which your thoracic spine is what's with your rib cage. Okay, so essentially twisting your upper body from your lower body. A healthy way to do this is when you're either seated, so your pelvis is nice and stationary and supported, or if you're kind of in a kneeling lunge stance or a standing lunge stance, that creates stability for the pelvis. And then you can go through the twisting of your upper body from there with good spinal posture. Okay, so I hope that you all go out. You can find these things on my YouTube channel, everywhere. If you can't find them, you message me and I will make sure that I send them to you. But in my opinion, the spine needs to learn healthy ways to twist and to bend. And it's actually a great correction if you've been over bracing your body. It's kind of a soapbox that I believe we're putting workers too much in a bubble when we tell them never to do that. And it's not so common knowledge, but I will confess to you, the movement ninja has thrown her back out. Some of you who have seen my other episodes on the Safety Pro podcast have maybe heard the story before, and I tell it in detail in some of my presentations, but I've had my back go out. The thing I want you to know about this, if you've had your back go out, you know the feeling, right? You know the feeling of your lower back muscles, that they just screamed and yelled at you and they're super pissed off. Unless you've fallen from something or been struck by something, most likely your back is not broken. You don't have any squished or bulging discs or slipped, whatever. Like that didn't just happen, even though it might feel excruciating. For those who have had that low back discomfort in the past, it does make you more prone to them in the future, unless you teach your body how to correctly move through that. So it's important, again, to go back to teaching your body correct movements, because if it doesn't learn how to do it right and safe, any other time that you put yourself in an awkward situation or a weird bent over twist, your low back is going to be like, I remember what happened last time. Let's not do that. And it'll send you little signals to be like, back the heck off. Don't do that. We want to broaden your range of proper function. So learning how to do it where your leg muscles are on, you know how to brace your core and still breathe, and then go through the movements, then your lower back muscles actually get more comfortable. They're like, okay, I understand. I've got a team of muscles working here. It's not just me, the low back, on my own. Screw everybody else. We're not moving. I often put personalities to muscles and relationships, but it's something that is important to understand. The low back particularly gets really triggered, and this is one way to protect it. So overall, I love the subject of crappy lifts happen because it is real life. It's the reality of a lot of situations. So I hear great feedback from all our clients all the time that for our balanced biomechanics trainings, we just address the reality of the situation and we are realistic with things. I don't want to teach zero or perfect ergonomics, I should say. I don't want to teach, it's like the zero goal, zero injuries or things like that. Crappy lifts happen and we have to learn how to prepare, how to recover out of them, how to teach your body new tricks moving forward. So happy to spread this topic around. I would love to have any feedback and questions off of this episode. I appreciate all of you who voted on the topics for this takeover episode. We had a couple others, so maybe Blaine will be so kind as to let me take over again. But I just want to wrap it all up about crappy lifts, that the more that you can prepare your body, be aware while you're doing it, learn those cool tricks of proper bracing of your core and packing of your shoulders, and then what things that you can do afterwards when you know and your body's told you that was really stupid. Lots of solutions for that. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some knowledge to bring forward, and hopefully I might see you on the next one.